I am Trix.
And I'm Gab, and we are your fellow psychology students in the University of the East Caloocan.
So today, we are here to discuss the use of mental imagery to promote or enhance psychological well-being during trying times. But first, we need to share the definition and important ideas about mental imagery.
When you experience sensory information along with its representations without a direct outward stimulus, it is called mental imagery. For example, you remember the coffee you drank in Paris 5 years ago. You cannot return to Paris, but you still taste the coffee that you drank. Or when you imagine your dream vehicle, for example. For example, I want a tank. Even though I can't directly see the tank, I can imagine the tank.
So in short, it is the idea you have of someone or something in your mind. The ability to create mental representations of things, people, and places that are absent from an individual's visual field.
And mental imagery is a very common part of our lives. It doesn't mean that to use mental imagery, you have to be a trained professional in doing it. And in fact, we're even doing it without knowing it. For example, it enables us to experience things without actually experiencing them. For example, I want to go to a friend's place. I imagine the route going to the friend's place. Or when I'm cooking something, I imagine putting some sort of spice there, and I imagine how the food tastes like. Then finally, artists such as my friend here use mental imagery to imagine the things they draw or create before actually putting them on a visual medium.
By using mental imagery, we can further talk about guided imagery. So, guided imagery or guided imagery visualization involves using your imagination to help put your body in a calmer state. It is a relaxation technique where you use your imagination to help lower stress, pain, or other negative feelings. The benefits we can get from guided imagery are reduced feelings of stress, help the mind and body to relax, improved sleep, decrease in pain, reduce depression and anxiety, lower blood pressure, as well as it is affordable and simple. With that being said, let us find out how we can use or apply mental imagery or guided imagery to promote or enhance our psychological well-being when we experience difficult times. First is to sit or lie down in a place you find the most comfortable. Next is to close your eyes and take a few deep breaths to relax. Visualize a peaceful place. A peaceful place is subjective. It can be a field, a cafe, a beach, or etc. My personal peaceful places are either a forest, a field, a park, or even a botanical garden. Add more details to the scene. In this case, you can imagine simple things like birds chirping, or add your favorite things that easily makes you feel relaxed. Stay in the scene and relax. Just feel calm and stay as long as you like. Don't rush, or the guided imagery would become pointless. When you're done, open your eyes and stretch gently to re-enter the present. Don't worry, you can return to the scene anytime you want anyway, so it's not a one-off deal.
Additional tips for you to feel more relaxed during your guided imagery session. The first one is to find a quiet place without any interruption. Yes, I know it's hard nowadays to find a quiet place with no interruptions. So you can just settle for somewhere quiet. For example, your own room, a cafe, a library, etc. Then, you need to turn off your phone and your TV because it's a big distraction. Unless if you're gonna watch a guided imagery video, then in that case, Either mute your phone for notifications or just use a TV and mute your phone. And third, if you're imagining a scene, you must engage with your sense of sight, smell, hearing, and touch. The more senses you use, the better. For example, you're in a field, so you imagine the sight and the smell of grass, flowers, the chirping of birds, the feel of the wind in your skin, and the warmth of the sun shining upon your body, etc. The other one is you may also use a guided imagery video, like I mentioned before. No distractions doesn't mean you can't use a guide or a video. Just find a peaceful place and watch the video. Since sometimes it can be difficult to imagine a quiet place. That video will provide you that quiet place you seek instead. And lastly, do not rush it. Take your time to finding the best state in feeling calm and serene. You're doing it right if you're taking time, and you'll also be able to meditate in the best way that will ease you in your psychological needs. Don't assume that guided imagery is just a theoretical concept that is merely effective on paper. It's a practical concept that actually works and used by real-life therapists. To prove its effectiveness, we found 3 random articles on the internet regarding to its testimony. This is about recovery from cancer, success, and love, respectively. So, the first testimony that we found is from a woman named Cassie Moore who needed surgery, a colectomy to be precise. She has a 9-year-old daughter and a 13-year-old son. Prior to the surgery, she had thoughts of anxiety. Like, that's predictable. Who doesn't get anxious before surgery? She dwelled on the what ifs. She suffered of the complications, the possible infections, and the possibly long recovery time of more than 6 weeks. To make matters worse, the hospital has her fill a will before the surgery in case she dies. This makes her anxious even more because she's more worried that she's gonna lose her family or leave them behind. Fortunately, a friend has told her of a therapist that works for people during pre-surgery. The therapist told her of guided imagery and to channel the anxiety into peaceful thoughts. And this guided imagery also appealed to her Christian beliefs. They played guided imagery tips during her surgery so that she feels calm. Instead of recovering in 6 weeks, she actually recovered in 4 days. She even started to get up and walking after 6 hours. The doctors and the medical staff were dumbfounded. To this day, she still uses guided imagery because it helps with her life and her health. She said that without it, she feels that her surgical recovery will be grim. This one, on the other hand, is a article by Rob Brando regarding his experiments on using guided imagery to manifest his success. He did this experiment in the course of 31 days, or roughly a month. He wanted to check whether it improves the consistency of his habits, positively alters his mindset and thought patterns, and whether it leads to more progress in achievement of his goals. Every morning, as a part of his morning routine, he watches a 10 to 15 minute guided imagery video. After his experiment, he evaluated whether it helped him or not. In conclusion, it helped him. First, it helped the consistency of his habits because it helps him focus on the why. It also forced him to slow down and think about accomplishing his goal. Second, it helped alter his mindset and thought patterns because the guided imagery videos gave him discipline to achieve his goals. And lastly, it helped him achieve this goal because of the aforementioned discipline and the increased consistency that it's provided. And lastly, we found an article by Kim Downey regarding the power of visualization. She compiled 3 stories of random people using visualization, just like us. One of the stories that we found and we liked is about Darren Hardy, a former publisher of Success magazine. He made a journal regarding the ideal traits he wants in his hypothetical spouse. He listed down everything, down to her physical appearance, her educational background, her traits, personality, etc. But he visualized his ideal self, how to attract his hypothetical partner, and what to improve to himself. Surprisingly, his technique worked. He is now married to his spouse of 22 years named Georgia.
So that brings us to the end of this episode. We hope you enjoyed watching this video. Until the next episode, fellow psyches!